Hey tennis fans, I'm Blair Henley for Tennis Now and welcome to another lightning round. Today I have with me former player, coach, author, and ESPN analyst, Brad Gilbert. Brad, thanks for being here.
Pleasure. I hope I'm ready for the lightning round.
All right, well, here we go. I'm going to fire away. First question. If you could coach any player on the tour right now, who would it be and why?
Well, first of all, you want to have somebody make you look really good. That's the key to coaching. But the easiest thing would be to say, okay, God, I wish I could, somebody like a Djokovic would be, geez, I'd just sit there and watch and he'd win a lot. But I think ultimately it would be to work with somebody younger that you have a chance to bring up and grow with over the next few years, whether or not it be a guy or a lady. But I'm also very happy at ESPN. I don't lose any matches. I can just make some bad picks.
Perfect. The biggest challenge of being a coach on the ATP Tour, or WTA Tour for that matter, we hear a lot about the challenges of being a player, but what about for the coaches?
Well, obviously, ultimately, you don't win or lose, and it's how you give the information, how you get your player ready. And the thing is, in everything you do, there's challenges, and the whole thing is trying to make them become the best that they can, and how you can give them the information that they can take and become a lot better.
A lot of us have read your book, Winning Ugly. I know that I have. Now, who does the best right now, would you say, on the tour of Winning Ugly?
That's a good question. To me, Winning Ugly is just all about how you compete, your passion. And I like to think that, a lot of people, I think Roger Federer, you look at him and say, he's perfect, but he knows how to win that, in his own way. And I might think one person that people look at, sometimes they shake their head, that like he's a modern, much better version of me is Murray.
All right. I know you coached him as well.
I did.
All right. Of all the tennis nicknames that you've given out, and there have been a lot, is there one that holds a special place in your heart? One that you think is extra clever?
Well, just in Australia, I come up with a nickname a couple of years ago, and then now they came up with a T-shirt of the nickname that I got, and they wanted to think it was like their own name, and then they finally said, oh, I think they got it from me. But Halep, I call her Jalapeno, and their entire team had like 3 peppers from Adidas, a jalapeno shirt.
Are you asking for royalties there?
I said, just give me a little love.
In your opinion, will Rafael Nadal catch up with Roger Federer in the Grand Slam race?
That's a tough one. He's 4 back. 3 back. See, I was already giving him up. If I had to say, gun to my head, probably not. But never underestimate Rafa.
That's a good rule to live by. And on the women's side, you see Serena with, again, 3 more looking to catch Steffi.
I would say she probably gets a couple more this year to probably get to 21. She gets to 21 this year. Yeah, I could see that happening. I think it's more about she's 33, going to be 34 this year. And normally at tennis years, like you've completely started your decline, but she's been the most successful man or woman player of all time in her 30s. And I think it's just a matter of how long that she wants to go. I think that ultimately, if she plays another 3-4 more years, I could see her easily passing Margaret Court and being number 1 all time.
Who would you say is your tennis idol?
When I was a kid, believe it or not, you know who my idol was? Non-tennis player, James Bond.
How did that work for you on the tennis court?
That's a good question. Not very well, but yeah. And the one player I did like when I was a kid, because everybody thought he was like the villain, so I was like, I gotta like him, was Eli Nastase.
What is your must-have snack when you go into the booth for a 3 out of 5 setter?
Must have. Well, you don't want to get caught eating food on air. You're like to. Actually, believe it or not, when I'm on air, I don't eat too much or drink too much, so I don't have to go to the bathroom. But no, I don't. You know what? I'll show you.
All right.
I'll look at it in my pocket. This is what I do a lot of. It's either a Jolly Rancher or a Werther Butterscotch. I've always got either one of those in my pocket. So, and then sometimes they get mad at me and I know you got a candy in your mouth.
All right. Who has better facial hair, you or Benoit Paire?
Benoit Paire. A pair of aces. See, that's a decent name. I don't really know does he have good beardistry?
He's got a lot of hair going on.
Well, this is something new. I've only pulled this off since Australia. But I'm pretty woolly, but I don't know his beardistry. So by your wry smile, I'll say him.
Are you saying beardistry?
Beardistry.
I've never heard that before, but I'll have to introduce that into.
You're asking the question on it. You probably are partial to him.
All right, I'll reserve no comment on that one. Who wins this doubles match? You and Pam Shriver versus Darren Cahill and Chrissy Everett.
Ooh, good question. Well, Pammy's darn good in doubles. My doubles okay, but Killer's got bad knees. He's coming off of 2 knee replacements. He's on the comeback. I say we take him 6-4 1/3.
I love it. And I know you're a big Raiders fan. So, which player can you liken most to the ups and downs of your Raiders fandom? Cheering for which player is most similar?
Well, we've been so bad for 13 years. I took Murray when I was coaching Murray in 2006 to a Raider game. It was the first time he ever been to a football game. And he was just figuring out NFL football, and he said to me late in the third quarter, how come your team never crosses to the other side of the field? They only stay on this side. And for 3 quarters, they never got past the 50-yard line. They got shut out. And I was making him up this is going to be a great year, a great season. It's and he's made the most obvious statement, your team never crosses the midfield. I don't know that I can liken anybody to my Raiders because we've been down for 13 years. So if I could liken to anybody, that they'd be outside the top 100 and never being in the top 100. So we have to do a little better to liken them to somebody.
Fair enough. And last question, if tennis were more like baseball and you had a walkout song, what would your walkout song have been when you were playing?
That's a good question. My buddy is the drummer for Metallica, Lars Ulrich. So, everyone would think that for sure that I would pull something from Metallica. But my favorite, especially when I was young in the early 80s, huge Tom Petty fan. So I could pull a litany of Tom Petty, but it would probably be Tom Petty.
Perfect. All right, Brad, good news. You survived.
I survived. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Way to go. All right. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of the Lightning Round. We'll see you next time here on Tennis Now.